You are about to witness the power of toy knowledge. Where are my figures at? Straight out of Poland, it's my homeboy Rick, classy action figure seller with a 6-inch dick, the bruiser, in his stonking collection of action figs that he sticks in his ring. 6 solicited pics for like button clicks, everything that drips out his lips is a statistic. Yeah, he's the kind of dude can tell you who threw who out of Rumble 92. Need to know a bit more? Check out his stories, putting figures in a box daily. And for this little rap, he didn't even pay me. So also on the show is Martin.
Welcome everyone to 7 Figs a Month. I am joined by my man Rick, the classy action figure seller with a 6-inch Dick the Bruiser. And I, as always, am Marty, and I have a major bendy. How are you doing, Rick?
Oh, I'm very good. I'm very good. I like the way on Callum's awesome theme song, he wasn't to know that out of all the figures he could have picked, there's never been a 6-inch Dick the Bruiser. But it is such a good line.
It is, yeah. I'm surprised you knew who Dick the Bruiser was.
I've not spoken to him about it. I assume he Googled wrestlers and Dick and just seen what come up.
Okay, yeah, that does make quite a lot of sense, actually. That's probably quite easy to do. I thought his wrestling knowledge was more vast than he lets on.
Maybe. A big Dick the Bruiser fan.
Yeah.
What have you got? What have you picked up? What have you Jersey retro toy hunted this week, Marty?
This week, I Jersey retro toy hunted via the interwebs a vintage Sergeant Slaughter Hasbro G.I. Joe. See, I figured this would be quite a nice thing to pick up because we did chat about it. So I saw it on the eBays and I thought, oh, I'm going to have that. So it was loose. It comes with no accessories, but it makes me happy.
And it is actually a G.I. Joe and not the Hasbro Sergeant Slaughter that fits in with the LJN line, which would have been very apt.
Yes, that would be good, but I think those are really, really expensive. No, this is just a standard 1986 Hasbro G.I. Joe.
No, well done, mate. I'm very jelly.
Yeah, I like that. It's good. I thought he might have loose joints and everything because I got all the stuff to fix them a while back. So I got a massive box of like broken G.I. Joes. So then I went on the internet, found out how to fix them all, like unscrewing them, and then found out what you have to buy. It's like little rubber bands. So I bought loads of them, but then I could only fix about 2 that are in the big box because the other bits were smashed.
Where did you acquire a massive box of broken G.I. Joes from?
I got that from a charity shop in a toy box.
Oh, wow.
There was like 3 big toy boxes, and I was going through them, and like some of them had like bits of Lego in, so it's like some big Lego sets. I had no interest in that. And then I saw some like G.I. Joe bits. So I saw there's quite a lot. So I just bought one of the toy boxes. And then the next day I thought, oh, you know what? I should go back and get the other toy box. There's probably more G.I. Joe bits in, but they'd been sold. And then when I went outside the charity shop, I saw a guy outside with them. So then I told him what had happened, that I'd bought this big Lego box. I didn't want the Lego, but I did want the little bits of G.I. Joe. So I rifled through his box and sort of pulled out like the legs of a G.I. Joe. And I was like, if you find any bits like this, can you let me know? And what I'll do is I'll give you the massive box of Lego that I got that probably goes with your sets you've got here. So we did a trade. Yeah.
Good work, mate. Good.
Yeah, so I met someone new. That's how I introduced myself to them.
Have you remained in touch with this geezer?
I did for a couple of bits, yeah. Yeah, because I went and picked up the bits of G.I. Joe for them, gave them the Lego and that. But...
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Oh, good. I enjoy your retro toy hunting because it's real. It's a real thing, right? It's not a faceless gimmick.
No, it's not a faceless gimmick. It's real. I'm sure people must have a funny name for me or something in the shops.
Okay.
They're going to, aren't they? Because I'm in there all the time. If I saw the same sort of person all the time, they'd definitely have a nickname by now.
I dread to think what that could be.
Yeah, God knows.
And why are we here? We are here to end, perhaps, our look back at LJN. Well, we will touch base again, right, on this very subject. Because
yes, we will.
We want to get our LJN figures in hand that we've ordered. We've ordered 1 each so far, and we'll assess whether we want to order more, I suppose, and give an update on what we actually think about them. Proper journalists.
Yeah. So mine has arrived, just so everyone knows. It's in a box in my van, and I wanted to open it today and to explain to everyone how it feels and do like a live unboxing and opening it for the first time. But then I told Rich that I thought this was a good idea, and he said, "Oh, why don't we wait till my Corporal Kirshner comes down and we can do a video and do it at the same time?" So we've agreed to that, and it's going to be a wait.
I did say that. I'm sorry. I thought it would be more worthwhile if we did it together.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Now I've got my Sergeant Slaughter. I've had my little toy, right?
Yeah, so that's it.
I just hope I don't throw that box of Bruno Sammartino out in the bin.
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Yeah, so we'll give some proper feedback on what we actually think about them, not just looking at images of them. But yeah, today's episode will be a bit weird, won't it? 'Cause we expect some guests to
Yep.
drop in. Should be fun,
Or we'll be stood up
or we'll
and
be
we'll just be
stood
here
up.
on our own. But it has been a good 6 weeks.
It has been a good 6 weeks.
Yeah.
One thing we've only briefly touched on in every episode, but not properly looked at, is the fact that they released tag team packs.
Yep.
Right, and only looking at it today, just now, in fact, to clarify what those tag packs were, we've noticed a surprise. Right, that was well, a surprise to us anyway. Maybe everyone knows all about this, but there were 7 tag team packs released, and they were the standard, what you would expect: the British Bulldogs, the Dream Team, Valentine and Beefcake, Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, the Killer Bees, Strike Force, the Hart Foundation, and very oddly, Hillbilly Jim and Hulk Hogan.
That was a surprise. It's the original Hulk, is it? The
Yep.
Swatty.
It's the Series 1 Hulk. And was Hillbilly Jim Series 1 as well? I think he might have
I
been.
think so.
Just what a weird... So what do we think's happened there? Do we think they were like, we've got to sell... If we're doing these tag team packs, let's do one with Hogan. Who would he go best with? And then maybe they were tagging at the time? I don't know. It's very
I
odd,
think
isn't
they
it?
were sort of teaming up at the time, weren't they? Because Hillbilly Jim came in as Hogan's friends, didn't they? A bit like Tugboat did.
Yeah, but they were never tag champs, were they? I can't recall them ever even battling for the tag titles. And every other team here, the Killer Bees might have never been champs.
That's interesting. But if they were, you wouldn't blink an eye.
Yeah, so everyone else was a set of tag champs that I just listed, but I don't think the Killer Bees were. But yeah, Hillbilly Jim and Hogan are just, yeah, I don't know what that is. We theorized that Hillbilly Jim was a nothing, right? And wasn't up to much around the time, and it wasn't that popular. Maybe they're like, oh, this is one way to sell a few of them. Put them in with Hogan. But like we said, the Hillbilly Jim is good. It's just, yeah, it's very odd to see that. I'm blown away.
I think the best thing is we've been looking at these for the last 7 weeks. Like a lot of our spare time is looking at these LJNs and trying to find out as much as we can. So, which we have really been learning as we went along. And today we found this.
Yeah, there's still surprises.
I was watching a video as well earlier today, and there was a unreleased prototype of Killer Khan that someone found, and then the guy from LJN who found them molded them and cast them and sold them and things.
So that's a really obscure prototype, right? Because I don't recall that ever making it to an ad or anything like that.
No, I never saw it in anything either. But that would have been, I imagine, around right at the start, maybe when they were first coming up with an idea of who they were going to release. So I don't think Killer Khan was in it that long. I know he had an ambulance match with Andre the Giant. I think he might have wrestled Hogan for the world title, a sort of throwaway thing.
I'm not familiar with him at all. To me, he would have been Outback Jack territory.
Yeah, I mean, he would have when I was a kid. The only reason I know who he is because Big Show had a stretcher match with Brock Lesnar in like 2003 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then on the DVD for that show, there was the Andre the Giant Killer Khan match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say he was the special ref or something.
No, that'd be good. He was the guy in the ambulance.
So it would be good if we had someone who could possibly fact check that type of thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think it's a fact.
Oh, what's that? Who's that? Who could that be at the door?
Who have you invited here today?
I like the way over the course of the first 6 episodes, we've established that we live over 1,000 miles away from each other. But in this reality of the podcast, it's a home and we live together and someone's at the door. And we should probably go and answer it as well. There they are.
I'm not going to answer
it. I'll let them in.
Oh, it's Patrick Reed, wrestling historian, referee, author,
podcaster too, Marty.
Podcaster as well. You do everything, Patrick.
I do too many things, and none of them make me any money. It's
so you can't buy loads of toys yet.
Good. I like your podcast, Patrick. Bunkum and Ballyhoo.
Thank you. Very kind of you to say.
I do short, digestible episodes about people who join like Nazi parties and stuff. It's great.
Are they all wrestlers though?
Most of them are, aren't they? You say they're not, and then they are.
There's a couple of there's 2 series. There's a couple of wrestling episodes in each series. So I did one on the Great Antonio recently.
Yeah,
they're never about wrestlers that most people have heard of. They're kind of, most of the stories are just weird bits of history that I've enjoyed and want to tell people
I'd like to hear one about the Great Antonio. So he's the one that had the sort of shoot fight with Antonio Inoki, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be a shoot fight.
No, it wasn't supposed to be. No, I watched a video on YouTube, and I think there's like a guy commentating. He just sort of recorded it himself.
Oh, it's Bill Burr.
Oh, maybe that's what I've seen. I didn't realize it was Bill Burr.
Yeah, he's fucking excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So this was years ago that I saw it before I knew who Bill Burr was. Yeah.
Basically, the only version of that match you can find anywhere
Oh,
now is with his
amazing.
commentary on it.
Amazing.
I can't believe I never realized that was him.
Yeah, no, go check out Bunkum and Ballyhoo on all the streaming platforms, Pat.
I think it's on most of them. It's on Apple, it's on Amazon. I don't really know how podcasts work. I assume you put it on one and the rest of them kind of pick it up.
Oh, we're figuring it out too, mate. You can head to Amazon and buy your book as well, Patrick.
You can, yes. That's Kayfabe, A Mostly True History of Professional Wrestling. Excellent cover art, Rick,
Yeah.
which I recently got a review which talked very highly of the artwork. It said your Minoru Suzuki picture on the back would make great poster art.
Well, there you go. There you go. Maybe we should sell some illegally or something.
Why does it have to be illegally?
He's going to do it. I'm not telling you.
It's just more fun, isn't it?
Good. So for the last 6 weeks, we've been looking back at the WWF LJN action figures. Do you remember these at all?
I don't remember them. I think if I had any knowledge of them, it would be through the Toys That Made Us.
Yes, it was on that.
Otherwise, I've enjoyed discovering what they were by listening to you guys. I wouldn't have guessed there was a Bruno Sammartino or an Outback Jack. So,
Right. You're not here for your toy knowledge, though, are you, Patrick? We've asked you to come here. You're probably unsure why. We've asked you to come here for your wrestling knowledge as opposed to your toy knowledge. So many things came up during this, Pat, and we were unsure of. And we'll run them by you because you've said your knowledge of this period as well isn't that great.
yeah, I'm not great on toys, and I'm only slightly better on late 80s WWF, so I'm the ideal guest to tidy this up.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things that came up, episode 1, I think, we came to the conclusion that, did you know Antonio Inoki held the World Wrestling Federation World Martial Arts Heavyweight Championship from December 18th, 1978 to December 31st, 1989. Did you know this?
I did, yeah. I actually, that is something that comes up in my book, if I can get another plug in for that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The relationship between the WWF and Inoki was an interesting one. They also used the WWF Junior Heavyweight title in New Japan for a long time. And the Martial Arts Championship was basically invented for Inoki to make him an instant star whenever he appeared on American shows. That, oh, he's got a WWF title. But it was a vanity belt for Inoki in his kind of worked shoot matches. After the Muhammad Ali match, every time he fought a boxer or a martial artist, it would be for the WWF Martial Arts Championship.
Oh, nice. This makes perfect sense then.
Sorry, it says he lost the title only for a month or so to a guy called Shota Chochesvili?
Yes, so this was when Inoki brought in a handful of wrestlers from Soviet Russia and immediately pushed them incredibly strongly because he was one of the first people to bring in athletes from the Soviet Union in any sport.
Okay.
So he lost the belt to one of them. You then also had Victor Zangief was one of the three, and I am drawing a blank on the other guy's name. But him and Zangief showed up for a Starrcade for WCW. They do an international tag tournament, and they show up, and you have, I think it's Jim Ross on commentary, is really trying to put over that they're the first genuine Russian tag team. But he can't say that because they've had so many kayfabe Russians there,
Yes.
and he just really struggles to find a way to say it. It's
wow.
it might be Starrcade 90. There's a Mexican team that's Conan and Rey Mysterio Sr., and they get Rey Mysterio's name wrong. So on the graphic it says Rey Mysteric
Okay.
with a C instead of an O, and JR calls him it for the entire match.
And it's Ray with an A instead of an E.
It's just some bloke called Ray, yeah.
That is all very impressive knowledge. That's why you're here, Pat.
There's a lot of history between Inoki and the WWF. New Japan, before the first WrestleMania, New Japan put a lot of money into the WWF to keep that relationship going. So whenever you hear the stories of Vince McMahon gambled everything on WrestleMania and it might not have worked out, actually it probably would have done because he was spending a lot of someone else's money. But there were apparently times that Inoki could have ended up part owner of the company if things had gone wrong. It was that level of investment.
Wow, I didn't realize the importance of Inoki and the championship. And is that the very same championship title that Antonio Inoki's mum gave to The Rock at the 2024 Hall of Fame ceremony that he renamed the People's Championship?
Did that championship not come from Muhammad Ali's family?
We don't know what you're talking about.
Is that possibly a Mandarin effect that you're talking about?
Yeah. You're on a different timeline here, mate.
Are you implying we've got something completely wrong, Patrick?
But I haven't watched I haven't watched the Hall of Fame ceremony with him being inducted or any. I barely watch WWE, so I don't. I know he showed up with a title that was given to him at the Hall of Fame. I thought it came from when they inducted Muhammad Ali.
No, think again. When you write your next book, you can make sure
run it by us.
Antonio Inoki's mum gave that to The Rock.
Maybe we'll go back and watch the 2024 Hall of Fame as well for research purposes. Okay. No, thank you for clearing that up.
Was Pedro Morales a real thing?
Oh,
as a human being, because no one's ever seen him. No one's ever seen a Pedro Morales match.
He was a Spanish commentator in WCW.
Get the fuck out of here.
He was WCW's Spanish announce team in the 90s.
I think you're thinking of Tony Schiavone. And Pedro Morales apparently was world champion, intercontinental champion, and at some point a tag team champion in WWF.
Triple Crown champion. Yeah, the first ever Triple Crown champion.
I am trying to think if I've ever seen a Pedro Morales match.
Right.
And unless he's in the Legends Battle Royal from a Madison Square Garden show that Lou Thez wins, if he's not in that, then maybe he doesn't exist.
I don't think he exists. And, sorry, Rich, I think that he might have been the person that actually murdered Jimmy Snuka's wife.
But that's only if he exists, right? That would make sense.
Yeah, it would be difficult for him to do that if he didn't exist.
Yeah, right.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've made him up.
Oh, to take the heat for Jimmy Snuka.
Take the heat. He's the Rio de Janeiro of murders.
Of pro wrestling. Is there a story there, though, Patrick? Because he doesn't seem to be propped up as a proper legend by WWE, even though he's got all these accolades. And I don't think they make toys of him, ever. I don't think Jax or Mattel have touched him as a toy. I wonder if there is...
I think it's just a timing thing. He was completely done well before when we're talking about now.
Why did we end up reaching him? Because it's not like we felt like he belonged.
It was the Intercontinental title, so we were wondering how it went from Tito Santana to Greg Valentine.
Yes.
And who else had it? So we went right back and saw all of it, and we saw he had it. Then I knew he had the WWF Championship at some point, and then you saw that he also had the Tag Team Championship.
No one's ever seen him. That's all I'm saying. WWE don't seem to he doesn't appear. He doesn't end up in video games or anything, And
no, but I suppose there's no interest, there's no market for him, is there? He didn't have the
fans. Didn't have any fans.
He didn't have that. That's literally no fans. Nobody ever liked him. Now, he didn't have the kind of late career run that they gave Bruno. He didn't linger around at all. His last stint anywhere was as a commentator for WCW.
When was that then?
This early 90s, I think.
I can't remember seeing him do it. Actually, no, normally if you watch the old videos, they'd sort of show you the other commentators and that. I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure he must show up for like a slamboree when they used to do the Legends stuff. Yeah.
But WWE sort of pick and choose who they sort of prop up as a very important part of their history, right?
Completely. They've only just announced Ivan Koloff going into the Hall of Fame this year.
There you go.
It's just like a backdoor Hall of Fame, isn't it? It's
in the Legacy Wing. What
does that mean?
It's people that they don't want to give any TV time to.
It's mad, isn't it?
And this is a former world champion who beat Bruno Sammartino and was one of the biggest stars in the company.
Yeah, no, I suppose the Legacy Hall of Fame is part of that. Not just they can't induct too many deads in any one year.
They definitely want to keep. They don't want to draw attention to how many wrestlers died young, and they also the whole point of the Hall of Fame as a live event is they want you to buy a ticket to come and see the big names that are there, and there are certain people that either aren't around to accept an induction or they don't think anyone's going to buy a ticket to see if they are.
Kamala's gone in with Ivan Koloff, right? Hasn't he?
He is
one of the three announced.
It's Ivan Koloff, Kamala, and Dory Funk Senior are the Legacy Wing inductees.
Here's one that is probably a bit of a sensitive subject in a way, right? And we've addressed it playfully on the show. And I do wonder again: is there a story here? There probably is, and I don't know how well known it is. I don't know how much you'll know about it. Lord Alfred Hayes. What do you know about him? And I say that, Pat, because I've seen. So we watched the Wrestling Classic for the first time ever. It's on Netflix now. Have you ever seen this Wrestling Classic?
I haven't. I am
Well,
very vaguely aware of the Lord Alfred Hayes behaviour that you're about to talk about. I've heard that mentioned before.
Okay,
but only in the context of this show, not in any other.
Okay, so basically it cuts back to him and he's touching up a lady who's helping with the tournament brackets, right? It's an interesting watch in this day and age, right? It's hard to understand what the purpose of it was back then, other than him being a bit of a creep. Was he playing a Benny Hill type character, maybe? But the reason I think there's more to the Lord Alfred Hayes story, there was a very cryptic interview done with Roddy Piper by Sean Oliver. Are you familiar with this bit of media?
Yeah, I think very vaguely remember this.
It doesn't say much, and it's Piper, right? And he's talking about Lord Alfred Hayes and Pat Patterson. He talks about Lord Alfred Hayes would sort of chase you with his big willy out and stuff like that, and he would do stuff that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't do to young wrestlers. Shouldn't have to put up with this type thing. And he looks like he's talking through trauma, right? And Sean's like laughing about it. And Piper's like, it's not funny. It's not funny. And then Piper was still alive, obviously. Still alive when he done this interview, right? Specifically. But then he addressed it on his podcast. I think he's like, no, nothing like that. People worry, no, I'm a man. Nothing like that. But you never got to the bottom of it. And I wonder if there's a big load of skeletons in Lord Alfred Hayes' closet. Given what we know about some of these personalities from this era, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, he was a wrestler of a certain age and in the office of the WWF at a pretty bleak time.
Yes.
So you don't want to say, oh, that means he's definitely a wrong'un, but
no. Well, we accidentally do say that sometimes, but yeah.
I've always found Alfred Hayes and the WWF a really odd fit anyway.
Yeah.
Just this old posh English bloke
right?
Who, as far as I know, never wrestled for the WWF. They only brought him in to be not even really a commentator, to just be a bloke that hung about. I don't know what his job was behind the scenes, if he had one.
His commentary was terrible as well. Because he was
whenever they did put him on commentary, it was horrendous. The only bit of commentary of his I enjoy is there's some commentary that he did over a Gorilla Monsoon Andre the Giant boxing match, and he's just laughing his head off about how terrible it is all the way through.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
I think he must be, yeah.
I'm not
in
sure.
the legacy wing where they don't mention people.
No, I think early on, before it became a big public event, the Hall of Fame was very much a sort of pat on the back for long-standing employees. I'm sure Alfred Hayes would be in for that. I will just look it up, but.
Yeah, it's sort of seeing this, right? It's seeing that Wrestling Classic and sort of being like, oh, okay. It's done in front of Vince McMahon, right in front of Vince McMahon. He stood next to him. So I don't think there's any malice to it. And we talked about, attitudes at the time being far different. And there's, I imagine fans watching going, oh, what a legend. Like, yeah, go on, mate.
Might be onto something with saying it's a Benny Hill character, that maybe they would say, oh, he's the posh English guy. It would be funny to cast him in this role.
Oh, yeah. I think it's more seeing this and then remembering the Piper interview and being like, hold on, is there something up here? Like, because he's someone who's not sort of, doesn't feature in modern WWE content, toys, games, or anything like that, and like they do, you've had Fink figures, you've had Mean Gene, and so obviously they're bigger characters. Is Fink a bigger character than Lord Alfred Hayes?
Yeah, I reckon. Definitely.
Yeah, especially because Finkel lasted through the Attitude Era and everything.
Yes,
I think he's got more of a lasting impact.
Fair.
Lord Alfred Hayes is a bit like Sean Mooney and Todd Pettingill, isn't he?
Yes. And they have all received action figures now from the many retro companies that exist. So
yeah,
maybe there's nothing there. Maybe I owe a big apology to the Lord himself.
It's an odd one because have you seen anything of Al Hayes as a wrestler?
Judo
He was Judo Al Hayes and then
Judo?
Lord Alfred Hayes. And there's not a lot of footage that I've been able to find, but he was really good.
Okay.
And there's a great heel promo he did in I think in Houston. It's a promo he does on the Sheik, and it's incredible. And I can see why the WWF would have brought him in to give him a microphone,
Yeah.
but that he wasn't a manager, that he was not often a commentator, that he was, yeah, he was sort of an interviewer and a host and all these other things, or a sidekick on Tuesday Night Titans. It's such a weird job to give to that bloke.
Was he ever in World of Sport or anything like that?
He was, yeah. There's some,
Yeah.
there's definitely some World of Sport Al Hayes matches on YouTube.
Interesting.
And I think he would have still been Judo Al Hayes at that point. There are wrestlers that they hire and end up becoming referees or end up in other roles completely.
Yeah.
And I wonder what it is that makes them look at someone that they pick up as a wrestler and think, oh, actually, we're going to give you a completely different job to do.
I suppose sometimes you could be looking at someone doing a promo, right? And you're like, wow, this is captivating, this is excellent. And then they arrive in Vince McMahon's WWE and they're 5'2", and he's like, oh, fuck, I'm not doing anything with this guy. He looks great on video, but I didn't realise he's a midget.
Like Adam Cole.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Lord Alfred Hayes. Definitely did it though.
Whatever it is.
I apologise. I don't know nothing about it. I just Piper tells a bleak story, and I reckon, have I heard any other bleak stories about him? He just acted terribly to rookie wrestlers, I think, and it was sort of a sexual nature, even if it was playful.
He was hazing them.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick, is that where the term hazing comes from as well? That's what we thought at one point.
It isn't, but let's say that it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's why you're here. Good work, Patrick.
Yeah. That's another one for your book.
Anything LJN related?
So, did Big John Studd win the Rumble in 1989 just to sell the extra LJN figures that they had lying around?
So, I actually looked up Big John Studd recently because what I had always either heard or remembered hearing somewhere was that he had been brought back in specifically for a program with Andre.
Yeah.
That it would be babyface Big John Studd against heel Andre, and that would be a big money program. And that it never really went anywhere because Andre really didn't like him. And that's why that push got kind of cut short and he got shifted into just being the special referee for Andre and Jake.
But even then, that would have been terrible at this point.
He was out of shape.
They're both out of shape, like Big John Studd as well.
I think the WWF are really, and not just them, I think a lot of wrestling promoters aren't very good at recognising that people get worse over time.
Broken down bodies, they don't notice them hobbling around the hallways.
They're really expecting to still get the Big John Studd of a few years earlier. It's the same as JR thinking that he's getting the Dr. Death of 1989 in 1998. But as it tends to be with stories of wrestlers disappearing very quickly around this time, I think John Studd just got angry that he wasn't being paid as much as he felt that he should have been.
Oh, okay. Like Tom Zenk.
Exactly like Tom Zenk. And I don't know if that's that he was promised or led to believe that he would be making more, or if he just had a higher opinion of himself. But I guess if you're being told you're coming in to work with Andre the Giant, there's probably an expectation of a certain amount of money that comes with that.
So the reason Martin mentions Big John Studd, it just seemed really odd. That Rumble win seems really out of place, and then you can't really find much.
I guess at that point, the Rumble isn't established as the big match. It's not. It's years before it's getting you a title shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So I think it was just an attempt to put him back on Andre's level because Andre the Giant was the king of the Battle Royal. So let's have him win the biggest Battle Royal in the company to put him in that position.
Didn't John Studd leave a few times directly because of Andre?
He does come and go a lot, but then that's not that unusual for a wrestler in that time, is it?
Because Andre's this beloved, giant legend, but we talked about it on the pod, right? A similar thing happened with Bam Bam, and I've heard all sorts of stories of, racism and stuff, and I think Andre was a bit of a bastard.
I think he probably was. When you hear him, he was this great guy. It's like, yeah, but listen to the people who are telling you that. He was really beloved by some pretty nasty pieces of work in the wrestling business.
Lord Alfred Hayes speaks very highly of him.
Yeah, Hogan spoke very highly of him. And, I doubt Bad News Alan was the nicest guy in the world either. But
Yes.
if Bad News Alan is telling me that the reason he had a problem with Andre is that Andre used racial slurs towards him, and Kamala's saying the same thing about Andre and probably
Right.
other people as well, it's not difficult to believe.
Yeah, and then anyone sort of near him size-wise seems to have had a big issue. Like it seems like Andre was almost threatened. Maybe he saw his health ailing and was like, "Oh fuck, I'm not giving up my spot to this new young upstart who's nearly well, no one was as big as him, but
Well,
yeah,
that
Still
was
giants, aren't they?
when he was being booked by Vince McMahon Sr., apparently one of Vince Sr.'s rules for letting other promoters use Andre was that you couldn't book him against anyone who was his height or taller. He always had to appear the biggest man in wrestling.
yeah.
Was there anyone as big as him or taller?
It really depends how tall you believe Andre was, and that gets quite contentious.
Well, I imagine that when he was in the 70s, he was probably taller than he was like 89, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dave Meltzer would tell you that at various points in his career he wasn't even 7 foot tall, that he was about 6'10". He was never, there were times when he was billed as 7'4", 7'5", and he was never anything like that.
Yeah.
They had a history of exaggerating, didn't they?
Of course, yeah.
So,
But if you settle on Andre being 7 foot, maybe 7'1" at the tallest, which is obviously enormous, then there's probably not a lot of difference between him and a John Studd or a Big Cat Ernie Ladd or
Ernie Ladd, yeah, he was big, wasn't he?
I think Plowboy Frazier, Uncle Elmer, I think was taller than Andre.
Oh wow.
But they wouldn't have been booked together, partly
Yeah,
because of
been
that, and
mentioned.
partly because that match would be dreadful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of very tall, barely mobile wrestlers that would have been kept completely far away from.
Yeah, and obviously like Giant
Andre.
Gonzalez was, but different time as well.
Should we talk about toys? I don't know.
We could talk about toys.
Pat, I've sent 2 images, and that is the winners and losers from each series. Do you care to guess which is which? I think it's fairly obvious, but maybe not.
So the first set has got to be losers, surely.
Yes. So
With
you're looking at
Skinny Andre and
Skinny Andre. Yeah, no, that's where it started, and we were like, oh wow, I reckon that was the first figure they done, and they got better. All right, so you're looking at Skinny Andre, Series 1, Brutus Beefcake, Tito Santana, Jim Brunzell.
I wouldn't have been able to tell you that was Tito Santana. I'd have guessed that as a Don Morocco.
Oh wow.
Oh no, Don Rocco's really good.
Okay.
Martin thinks it's really good. He's only a little bit better than that, as far as I'm concerned. Jim Brunzell, Honky Tonk Man, and Rick Rude. Out of those 6, which is your least favourite toy there? Judging now with Patrick's eyes.
My least favourite has got to be Andre out of that lot.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. We're in full agreement.
It's
Brutus,
a terrible Andre. It's a really good My Brother Darren, circa 2005.
Yeah.
Patrick, do you remember ever going to college with Darren when he just wore his underpants?
I don't remember him just wearing his underpants and his knee-high boots.
That was probably his last day.
Did you ever go to Woolworths with him, Patrick?
All sorts of issues, mate. Avoid it.
All right.
I don't remember the Honky Tonk Man having a jaunty little scar.
No, I hate the Honky Tonk Man because the way he holds his guitar there, and we spoke about it in the episode, it's either down by his legs or out to the side. And you can't hit anyone with it. It's rubbish.
It looks like an Andy Kaufman doing his Elvis bit. It doesn't. Yeah, that is someone dressed as Elvis far more than it's a Honky Tonk Man. I know there's not a lot of difference in that, but
Yes, I know what you mean. It doesn't look like the Honky Tonk Man, but it looks like anybody dressed like Elvis.
Yeah, and Rick Rude, obviously, you can't play with. It's dreadfully posed.
The thing with that Rick Rude I thought about as well the other day, like all the other toys are designed like they could have had the bendy arms, right? Like if they were going to put the wires in them. That Rick Rude, they never would have done like that.
No, this is
and
just...
he's not even doing like when you described him. I assumed it was hands on the hips to do a hip swivel. He just looks like he's hiking his pants up.
Yeah, this is pre-flashing his winky, isn't it? So yeah,
Which would have been a good toy if it had like Cheryl Roberts on his tights.
I thought you meant if the front of the tights came down, like that was his action. Have you heard the urban legend that Rick Rude had no dick?
And that's why
No.
he killed himself because
Yeah,
his dick
yeah.
he could no longer have sex, and he loved sex.
He
I've heard.
he lost his dick from injecting steroids into it, and it
I-
went.
Did he have just like an androgynous bulge, like a Barbie?
I imagine he's just like a Ken doll down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard this, but I've also heard it's either like Honky Tonk Man or Jake Roberts talking about it.
Oh wait, is this a thing that people actually say?
No,
Oh,
this is
I didn't
real,
just
mate.
make that up.
Yeah, no, this is real, mate. This is a conspiracy theory about why Rick Rude took his own life.
Thing is, if you were a mad old carny like Jake or Honky Tonk Man, and someone said to you, "What do you think of the story that Rick Rude lost his dick because of a like steroid-related infection?" You're gonna run with that and talk about it as if you'd always known.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
take his own life either, did he? I thought he died of a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any grounds for people believing he committed suicide, but that was a story that was doing the rounds. Yeah, his dick exploded or something, and he was like, "I can't live any longer. Life is worthless if I can't fuck
Is
women."
that? I mean, that might be what this action figure is expressing.
Yeah,
Looking at the look on his face.
yeah. And the other image, Patrick, is the best, the sixth best. Hulk Hogan from Series 1, King Kong Bundy from Series 2, Bruno Sammartino, I reckon that's the winner there, right? Outback Jack, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Ultimate Warrior. Who would you take home if Darren was doing what he does in Woolworths? Who would you take home from the shop?
I think if it were me now, I'd probably take Bruno Sammartino,
But
just
back
for
then,
the novelty of it being a Bruno. If I were a kid looking at these in the shops then, I always looked at wrestlers that were kind of comic book characters and cartoon characters, and there's something in the face of King Kong Bundy there that is
oh, good,
that is a villain in like any Saturday morning cartoon.
good answer.
And I think I'd have gone Bundy out of that.
It's a good pose on Bundy as well. Like, I'm not sure what he's doing there. It's like, ugh.
It's just looming, isn't he?
So,
Just looking like King Kong.
you see their Outback Jack, Patrick. I imagine you know literally zero about Outback Jack like everyone else. Or did he go on to have, is he actually the great Sasuke or something?
I think Outback Jack, you're right. I don't think he went on to do anything at all. I don't know if I think he came from Stampede prior to the WWF, but I don't think he was there for long, and I don't think he did anything at all after leaving the WWF. So his career is maybe 2 or 3 years of never doing anything but warranting this toy.
Yeah,
Could you
madness,
imagine
right?
afterwards? He just becomes a gardener, but then he's telling all his customers how he got a royalty check for like 150 grand for an action figure that was released of him. But now he's just doing this rubbish work for not a lot of money. The only thing that makes him happy is knowing that Rick Rude's dick exploded and he's killed himself.
That's the only thing.
Patrick, did you know? Because we didn't, and then other people who have listened to the podcast also didn't know that Corporal Kirshner was Leatherface. I imagine you would know.
I did know that, yeah. There
Like-
were a couple of Leatherfaces. He was the
Yes.
first one.
Yeah. Is there any other like bonkers transitions like that? Like obscure 80s stars in WWF who went on to have mega careers in Japan or Mexico?
I'm sure there are plenty. You've put me on the spot.
It well and truly blew my mind because I was vaguely familiar with Leatherface and I was like, oh my god, I had no idea. Like
He
no.
was apparently like really stiff as Corporal Kirshner, that no one enjoyed working with him at all. And then they just loved him in Japan. And
There's a tag team match of Leatherfaces versus someone, and I think he was angry about the payoff or the result or something.
Yeah.
And he was just like powerbombing people hard onto a bed of nails
Yeah.
and stuff. Just like excellent content.
yeah, I think the other Leatherface in that match would have been Super Leather.
Who was
I
Captain
think
Lou
was-
Albano?
I think he's Ron Hutchison, who was one of the guys who trained Joey Legend.
Oh wow.
And presumably also Edge and Christian and other people that are much bigger names than Joe. But I remember speaking to Joe about Ron.
I think Mick Foley says it in his book, but when you're reading it, you probably don't know can't think of who Corporal Kirshner is or anything. And then there's so much other stuff to read. It just sort of
That's
goes.
true. That's true. It's yeah.
It rang a bell. When you said it, it blew my mind a bit. But then it sort of rang a bit of a bell. And as I hang about, I think I've heard that.
Good knowledge though, Patrick. I'm very impressed with the answers you have given.
Hopefully some of it's true.
Yeah.
No one will know, mate.
It sounds more true than the shit we've been saying.
Patrick, what do you know about Billy Jack Haynes?
There is a Billy Jack Haynes shoot interview called Conspiracy Theory with Billy Jack Haynes
Okay.
that prior to Billy Jack Haynes murdering his wife is probably the maddest thing you will have ever heard about him. From what I can remember, he believes that
Rick Rude.
um, he believes that Daniel Benoit, Chris Benoit's child, was actually Vince McMahon's child, and that's why Vince McMahon had Benoit and the kid murdered.
Excellent.
And that's kind of tip of the iceberg, insane conspiracy stuff and the whole shoot interview is him pulling out documents and photos trying to prove this network of conspiracies that he believes that all come back to wrestling and things conspiring to stop Billy Jack Haynes being the biggest star in the world. And
well, you say
he
that,
was an
right?
absolute nutter.
I briefly watched some of WrestleMania 3 with him wrestling Hercules on it, and I was just like, this guy's fucking got it. He's great. He's huge. Like, why did his career? Is it a case of?
I think because he was an absolute lunatic.
Okay,
like
that's
even
a
by the
shame.
standards of wrestling, I think he was just impossible to deal with.
No, I've got a kick out of watching Billy Jack Haynes wrestle and stuff. I didn't know there was an amazing shoot interview of him. We should try and get him on. Can he do podcasts, or is he serving time for murder?
I don't think he's serving time yet.
So he didn't definitely do it.
I don't know if he's stood trial yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're confident he did it. He did have a 2-hour standoff with police at his home with a gun and his dead wife in the house.
Okay, but like innocent until proven guilty, mate.
Oh, yeah, I suppose get him on the pod. We
Yeah,
can ask him the real question.
Yeah, no, maybe he'll
So,
tell
Billy
us.
Jack, you're in
What was it
Woolworth.
like working with Hercules?
On the Hercules subject, right? Was Eugene based on Hercules? Genuinely?
No, I don't. The story I heard was, unfortunately, Eugene was based on a specific WWF fan with learning difficulties.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
Whether Nick Dinsmore based some of his performance on Hercules, I don't know.
Did you listen to that bit where I was saying there's definitely similarities there? And have you ever seen this, or am I just talking nonsense?
I can't remember what you said the similarities were. I remember
the movement, the arms out, the big steps. Yeah. Hercules does it, and it's like, oh wow, this is.
See, I think they're both doing a kind of cartoon Bruiser Brody.
Okay.
It's sort of the same as or with Eugene especially. I think he's doing the Berserker.
Okay,
the
so
kind
as
of
someone
huss stomping.
I've never seen much Bruiser Brody at all, so that would make sense if they were copying someone. Because I'm seeing Eugene parodying Hercules Hernandez.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of the Hercules Hernandez act comes from Brody. Eugene is doing a lot of sort of late 80s wrestling stuff. I think he's probably doing the Berserker because quite a lot of wrestlers Jimmy Jacobs and Bryan Danielson both used to do comedy Berserker spots. And that came from Brody as well. So if I had to guess, it would be that.
That does make more sense. I'll give you that. Because it would seem very obscure for Vince to be like, go watch Hercules Hernandez to learn how to act.
Study your Hercules tapes.
Yeah. Okay. So the LJN line, Patrick, we had Jimmy Snuka, who famously definitely killed his wife, girlfriend, and Billy Jack Haynes, who definitely killed his wife. Without knowing the full line of LJN, was there any murderers we might have missed? I
do have the lineup in front of me. I don't think there's any other actual confirmed murderers in there.
Okay. Good.
So we covered them.
We covered them.
I mean, it would be a surprise if there were many more. Yeah, I think that is probably it for murderers.
I reckon Jim Brunzell's got some secrets. That's
I seem so nice. That's what they always say, though, isn't it?
Right. No, thanks for coming on, Patrick. We'll definitely get you on again. Maybe each time we finish a series, we'll get you on to sort of like question
how many murderers there were.
Go buy Patrick's book on
Amazon. You still get it on physical copy, or is it just digital?
You can get a physical copy or an ebook.
I tried to get a physical copy a while ago, and they had sold out. I said not.
Wow. Go buy his book. Go listen to his podcast. Bunkum and Ballyhoo. You won't be disappointed. You won't. I love it.
Thank you. It's been
genuinely love
a lot of fun.
So, all right. Thanks, Patrick. He's good, isn't he? He's very good. Just for clarification, that was all off the top of the dome, right? So we didn't send him anything in advance. He knew that shit, right? He's great. You'd be hard pressed to find a more knowledgeable historian, I reckon.
There are times in my life where I've been walking past. He used to live in Jersey, so he was always at the same pub, the Pearson. So there'd be times I had to go to town to meet someone. Sometimes I'd go early just to have a beer first, and I'd always think, I'll go into Pearson see if Patrick's there. And we would just talk about wrestling for about an hour before I had to go to where I needed to be.
Yeah, it's not just wrestling, you know. He's a balmy lad, that one.
I'm pretty sure it's just wrestling.
No. It extends to like the arts and music and stuff. Yeah.
I don't really have interest in that though.
No, no, clever lad. Yeah, we'll get Patrick on again, no doubt, to do the same thing. I reckon. I imagine every time we go through a line of toys.
Do you reckon his knowledge of Toxic Crusaders is really high as well?
I bet it is.
You know, they actually did old films like Toxic Avenger. Have you ever heard of those?
Yes, yeah.
They're on Amazon Prime. Yeah, I started watching one of those shite, so I stopped. Yeah, maybe he's seen all those, so I don't need to.
I bet he has. But I'm not in a rush to do Toxic Crusaders. To be honest, I'm more I'd rather even do Star Wars.
Oh, that'd be interesting. All the Star Wars toys. I reckon there'd be a lot of angry Star Wars fans listening if we did Star Wars.
That would be good, right? To bring our same level of shit to Star Wars.
Then bring Patrick in as an expert at the end. Fingers crossed he knows what he's talking about.
So we still haven't had anyone grace the ears of the listeners who has ever touched an LJN, right? We're still So that's a shame. You could go to your fan.
I could do it right now. I could actually go and get it. No, I won't do it.
You're not allowed. So it'd be nice if we did have someone. Who could that be?
Here we go. This is turning into a house party.
Welcome to the show, the ever controversial Mr. Daniel Bassett.
It's all relative. I mean, I haven't put a giant tariff on anything or anything like that, so.
Not yet.
No.
How are you, Dan?
I'm very good, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much to yourself and Martin for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. We thought it was important to actually speak to an eyewitness who saw these firsthand on shop shelves.
Yes.
These LJN figures.
Yes.
So you had them as a kid, Dan. How old were you when you got them?
About 5, 6, 7. We moved into like our purchased home at 7, but we were renting houses, and I remember playing with them. I'll tell you the exact LJNs I had, I unearthed a picture of me and Black Hacksaw recently, and another one with White Hogan. There was Kamala, there was Outback Jack, and the black trousers Ricky Steamboat, and those were my guys, and that was before Hasbro's.
You had Outback Jack.
I had Outback Jack.
Oh, I'm so excited! I never knew this. I'm very excited.
They were all, they were all the LJNs I had. Like as an adult, I have no idea what happened to them. But as an adult, I'm like, I really want that White Hogan. It's my first figure.
Maybe you need to go in your parents' loft and see if it's there.
Over the years, I saw figures in younger cousins' houses that were cleared.
Yeah, I had that problem as well. My dad used to always give my stuff away when I was naughty. He gave away all my He-Man toys to my cousin, told me he threw them in the bin.
Oh, wow.
Devastating.
Should we delve into this?
There's lots of trauma there, Dan. There is lots of trauma there.
Is there?
Yeah.
I have a co-host with a lot of trauma as well, so I'm used to it.
Yeah. we can work through it.
You're old enough now for it to be a bit funny.
I've turned out okay, I think. There wasn't any significant problems. I'm a fully functional man with a toy addiction.
Yeah, that's it, right? The toy
worst things to be addicted to.
When you were picking up these LJNs, or when your mum was picking them up for you, Dan, did you have any idea what they were? Did you know they were wrestlers, or did you just want some sexy men in their underwear?
I knew they were wrestlers.
Okay.
That too, but no, I knew they were wrestlers. I started the first wrestling I remember watching is 1990, 1991, and this is around the time I got these 5 or 6 figures. There was some bizarre NWA tournament on Eurosport. They used to have spliced territory and Crockett stuff on Eurosport, and I remember watching, would you believe, Steve Austin in the very, very, very early part of his career with my dad on a Saturday morning, and Dad goes, I love this Austin guy because he was a heel and his hair and all that sort of thing. And then the next memory of wrestling I have is right before WrestleMania 7, Tugboat and Mr. Perfect on Primetime Wrestling, and I found that recently, so it exists.
Wow.
I thought it was so egregious that Mr. Perfect pulled his trunks. Then the one, and it sticks out as my real first wrestling memory, is the career match between Macho and Warrior around the exact same time.
Macho
Yeah.
Man's best WrestleMania match.
Yeah, exactly, and and not even close actually. And I was in from there, and I've been in since I'm nearly 40, and this was when I was 5.
Yeah.
One of the things that's popped up whilst we've been recording is Martin believes that WrestleMania 3 Ricky Steamboat Randy Savage is vastly overrated.
Oh, very much so.
Oh,
Very much
there
so.
you go.
Oh,
Finally, someone agrees.
it's the stage that it got. It is a great match. It is the best match on the show.
Yeah.
There are literally hundreds of matches better than it. I'm talking to two people trained in wrestling now as well. The wrestlers these days are mechanically far, far better than the 80s, 90s, noughties. However, I don't think they have the personalities of the 80s, 90s, noughties. Lack of cocaine is my problem.
Oh, yeah. Not enough drug use. Yeah, there's plenty of wrestlers that hit really crisp moves.
Yeah, Pac is probably the most crisp and most natural looking wrestler I've ever seen.
But they don't do a good job of conveying emotion or making you care.
Yeah, it's a charisma, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what gets you into the building. When it's bad, it's so bad. And when it's good, there's nothing better.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that.
A lot like toys.
Yeah, it's true.
Back to LJN, Dan. Were these on the shelves at the same time as the Hasbro?
Yes, but removed when Hasbro started proliferating. So there was an overlap. And I know there was an overlap. And I know the reason I know there was an overlap is because my LJN division became a lot smaller. And the Hasbro, as I started getting Hasbros, I never booked them against one another because I'm not fucking mad.
Yeah, no. Be like the midget division, right?
Exactly. So you had the LJN division on my cards, but they had their own championship and they existed in their own universe. They didn't interact with Hasbro's, but it appeared on the same cards.
So I don't know if you'll remember, but I'm very interested in that because obviously we just had Hasbro's, right?
Yes.
But I'm very interested in, did you see that as a downgrade? Or were you like, I much prefer these toys that can move?
I much prefer the toys that can move.
Oh, wow.
And they probably fit in your hands better as a kid as well. I remember I loved Hasbro's because the way they fit in your hands as well.
It felt like I could play with them more.
Yeah.
I'm a size queen, I think. I think I would have preferred the sheer gigantic nature of the LJNs.
Yeah, that figure of me with the Duggan, like, it's bigger than my head. Like, and now when I'm buying big rubber guys or LJNs now, I'm like, oh, they're not as big as I remember. They are, but like,
it's probably a good job you don't listen because we've got excited and both of us have now purchased an LJN and we're waiting. Martin has arrived and I'm waiting for mine in the post.
I'm not allowed to open it yet though. Until
we have to do it together.
Down.
I like that. What happened to my LJNs, I don't know. I dread to think the state they were in when they left because you see how beat up they are when they're for sale, like on eBay or what have you. And mine were certainly well used. In fairness to them, they probably owed me nothing. What I thought was nuts when I grew up and got an awareness is the money that the Kamalas and Hulk Hogan's go for. I had the white Hulk Hogan. And I was like, how did that even get to Ireland? And it was in like a regular, like Asda, like the equivalent of Asda there. And I asked a friend of mine who's a couple of years older than me, he'll actually definitely listen to this, about it. And he said, no, they were in Dunnes Stores when we were kids. Yeah, you could just that's where your mum got them. Like,
so they weren't available in the States, that Black Card series?
No.
It's bonkers, right, that they ended up in Ireland.
And at the
you
time,
must have had other ones as well then in Ireland. So you had the other series as well. If you had Outback Jack, because he wasn't in that one, was he?
No, Outback Jack was series 4.
Yeah, Outback Jack.
I think it's 4, yeah, but he wasn't in the last one again, was he? He wasn't repeated.
No. So,
Kamala, and we may still has a Kamala as well. So 2 Kamalas were definitely sold in Tullamore. Mr. Wonderful.
Oh yeah, so you had the whole line then. Wow.
As far as I could, and Kamala, Mr.
Madness.
And then the Black Hacksaw. Yeah.
It's this weird alternative universe for us because it just didn't exist and it was pre-internet. We got no idea that these exist.
Well, that's how I enjoyed
right?
the first episode so much because I still don't know a lot about them. I had 5 or 6 of them. I don't know what happened to them or where they went, and then just Hasbro's completely took over, and then I got the nostalgia for Hasbro so much so that I'm on a fucking podcast, and I hadn't so I've been really enjoying this deep dive.
So when you had Outback Jack as well as a kid, there's no fucking chance you knew who he was.
None whatsoever. And
did you just use him as Crocodile Dundee?
Yes, and I asked my dad about him, and he just he clearly just made up, like going, "Oh no, he was on before, yeah," because he was completely gone at that stage. Like at least my Steamboat, my black Steamboat, who didn't look like the dragon on the TV, was the dragon on the TV.
Nice, yeah.
And Hogan, I had like the videos of Mania 1 and stuff. You could rent those, so I'd seen him in white before. And Kamala had not re-debuted in WWE.
So when he came out then, when he came back in 1993, you must have been just like, I had the toy of him.
Yeah, I have that. It was real. Like, I have that. That's amazing. And then Duggan, he was wearing black and he was wearing blue on the TV. And I was like, I wonder when he ever wore black. Like,
Yeah.
You have the ring as well for the LJNs.
I don't think so, but I had all manner of rings, and then after a certain amount of time, my parents wouldn't buy them for me because I kept breaking them. So what I used as a ring was I had to imaginary ropes, but an old chessboard.
You could have just used the carpet at this stage.
Yeah, no, because how I booked my match. Oh, this is really mental. How I booked my
No, this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff.
So how you would book a match in my federation from the age of 5 to the age of about 11 was you hit the wrestlers together and whoever's left in the ring wins, but then you act out the match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Bafflingly enough, LJ Galoob used to win a lot.
There's a real like shoot match before the professional match.
Yeah, and then you act out the match.
Okay, good.
That's quite good.
Yeah, and so Survivor Series was great. You'd have to get the 4 in each hands, bang them off each other, and whoever was left. So there could be 2 or 3 from the same team. They'd be the survivors, and you'd act it out.
Oh,
Royal Rumble was fantastic. My leg was an entranceway, and the wrestlers were all behind me, so it really was random. But what I did have, and my parents reminded me of this recently enough, was this like Howard Finkel microphone.
Okay.
And then so I'd introduce everyone as well, and like do their music, or on a VHS play their music.
I remember doing that with Royal Rumble on the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
you could select the characters. I remember Tonka was on there, so his music was on there and stuff.
I think when the anthology came out, do you remember that?
Yes.
The 3-disc set. I think me and you, Martin, might have got together and played some sort of Royal Rumble and was playing the music on a CD player.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And just
and
so
when did
everyone
that come
knows,
out?
we were probably 19.
Yeah, we would have been young men.
And you see, and this is mad because I spent, not ashamed, but like not embracing my love of all this shit. I'd say when I was about 28, 29, I just stopped giving a shit about anyone else. And then like I went to like NXT on my own and realized that 2 lads I know from the same town go all the time and have become really good friends with them over like the last decade. Like, and yeah, it was good. But I don't know what clicked in me. And I think there's lots of people like that.
Well, I think me and Martin had the same sort of, well, I certainly did. I think I've spoken about it on your podcast, Free POA, which everyone should go and listen to. How around the age of like 13, I was sort of peer pressured into, right, you've got to grow up now. No more toys. And that only lasted 5 years or so. I think I would have met Martin and we both would have been on the same wavelength. And we're like, let's get these toys and fuck it.
How did it happen?
Shame. And we were like taking toys to house parties to play with and stuff. Like,
I remember Colt Cabana actually got this out of Myers and Cardona. They had a similar kind of, when they met one another, like going, I like toys, I also like toys. Like, how did it come up? Like,
it's hard to. I know. I remember meeting Martin because I went to his and he had a pool table and a gigantic like closet full of wrestling tapes, like a sliding door just of every wrestling tape.
Oh.
And I don't think we were mad into toys then. We might have kept an eye on them. But it would have been around the same time Classic Superstars was announced or came out.
It was the ECW toys as well.
So I
think we started getting those a bit before Classic Superstars came out.
Yeah, it's hard to remember the exact timeline, but it would have been around the same. I would have refound my Hasbros and had them on display, I reckon. Yeah,
that's probably how it came about. Actually, it's probably being in your bedroom. There was toys. Yeah,
I love this because and the same with the Colt Cabana podcast about 10 years ago with Myers and Cardona. Like, I feel like I lost a bit of my 20s and teens because I love all this shit, kind of pretending even to myself that I don't. Like, I always watched wrestling though. Like,
yeah, it was just like, fuck it, I like toys. I'm now buying them. And I remember, I'd be out with all the guys at uni at the pub, and I would have bought a toy at Argos or something. I'd just have it on the table looking at it. I like pulling my toys out and looking at them. And I
Yeah.
remember one of my mates commented,
Yeah.
was like, "This is very like,
Yeah.
fuck you, I'm doing this."
Like, I was.
And since then, I've never had any shame about the toys, really.
No, nor should we really. Like, and I was talking to two people my own age about it the other day, and I was telling them that, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, no, we'll make fun of you, but like, not really. Like, you're going about your business. Like, do you know what I mean?"
I'd have toys delivered, right, to work. And I remember one guy just saying, like, "Did you not feel like you're wasting money?" Because I'd spent like 40 quid on a couple of toys.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just saying, like, "How much did you spend on Friday?" And he didn't remember.
yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, good point. Sorry, I don't."
If you're going to the pub, you're spending 50 quid. Like,
Oh
you
yeah. In
like
London as well, like.
yeah.
That's sickening, isn't it? When you know you could buy an action figure.
Yeah, right. Because I'm like, this has like a resale value. I didn't have a shop at the time, but I was like, you've got no memories of like the 100 quid that's now gone from your bank. So,
That's true as well, actually. Yeah. No.
So there you go.
I'm still trying to find out more information about how and when they were stocked and like why. Like we have proof that it happened, like both photographic and physical evidence that like Kamala's and White Hulk Hogan's and stuff were here. But like the actual going to the shop, I don't necessarily recall. It was probably bought for me. In fact, I don't really recall ever being in the shop getting has figures. But I think I was mental as a child, and it was difficult to bring me to a shop like that. I'm very annoyed that like I didn't realize that how much I'd appreciate them as an adult. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Like I hover over these 150 quid White Hulk Hogan's because you can get one for 100 or under, but it's not going to be nice. A nice one,
They're expensive, aren't they?
yeah, a nice one is 150 quid. Like, you know.
So have you picked up, slightly off subject, but not really? Have you picked up any of the Colosseum collections then?
I've hovered over those a number of times, especially the White Hogan.
Yeah.
But I've not pulled the trigger. But it's
Oh, right.
something that I've made because just I'm buying so many retro things all the time. So
Fair enough.
yeah, I like to give men money who randomly price increase the EU and UK for no reason.
Yeah. No, fair. Someone has to, right? Okay. Well, no, yeah, it's going through all of these because I do have the Colosseum collections, most of them. I just need the Heart Foundation, but it's made me like really appreciate them even more. Like how
I think a friend of mine has
posed in the box is the same pose as the LJNs.
Yes.
It's really
It's,
nice.
the nod to it. I love looking at them as well. Actually, and a friend of mine has multiple Heart Foundations because he is fucking mental and was trying to get the Chase.
I had no idea that the chasers were worth so much. Even now, just the Metalls, and I was like, "This is bonkers." I've seen the Black Cards Bam Bams going for like nearly over 100, just the Bam Bams.
Yeah. And I remember Steve Ozer was asked about it, and he was like, "There's some distribution issue here. Like, I've not seen them."
I'm desperate for Mattel, and I don't think they will, but I'm desperate for them to release just Acts of Demolition because that's all the LJN released. They never did a Smash. And I'm desperate for Mattel to honour that, but I don't think they will. Right?
They won't. No.
With terrible face paint as well that doesn't look like Axe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that. But yeah, no, we can dream. We can dream. Before we go, Dan, I sent you some images, right?
You did.
And they are of each series. There were 6 series of LJNs, and I've sent you one image with all the ranked number 1 toys and all the last ranked toys.
Oh, this is incredibly difficult.
I just thought, so the one with Hogan, Bundy, Sammartino, Outback Jack, Jim Duggan, and Ultimate Warrior, they were ranked first in each series. Who would be your favourite there?
Overall.
I spent a lot of time over the years hovering over that very expensive Warrior because I like buying Warrior stuff. I think it's fucking great. Outback Jack and Hacksaw. Now I'm looking at that Hacksaw and I see the 2 thumbs up and the pose and everything. It's literally giving me goosebumps from being a kid and holding that figure. So I'm going to say Hacksaw because like it's the first time in ages. You know when you hear a song or smell something or something like that, you get goosebumps. And I'm looking at this Hacksaw now and I'm getting them. So Hacksaw, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, good choice. Series 5 Hacksaw, yeah.
And because and I'll dig out those pictures. We'll put them on the 3POA page of me with LJNs.
And then the other image is all the guys who we ranked bottom, right? But I'm looking at it now and I'm like, these are fairly decent. Some of these guys have no business being bottom. Like Brutus Beefcake's tremendous. But who's your least favourite here? Who would be bottom for you?
And my friend had Tito as well.
Tito looks all right, right?
I've held that Tito, but it doesn't look like
When
Tito.
you look at these, though, Tito's
Okay.
quite good.
Andre's probably the worst because it could have been the best because he looked so different to everyone else. Like it could have been the best.
Yeah.
Rude isn't terrible. I think you're probably just searching for a bad one out of that series.
It's the
Well, there
pose,
wasn't-
isn't it? He's got his
Yeah.
hands molded to his waist.
He can't
Yeah.
fight. Like, yeah.
That's it.
And I think people had the killer bees. I have a vague recollection of somebody having them as well.
Someone posted, I think it might have been Himesh,
Could have been.
posted evidence that he had 2 different Jim Brunzels after I said, surely no one owns one.
Oh yeah, no, and there was a big thing about that. You've just hit a synapse. There was a thing about that. There was 2 Brunzels. Like
I
one,
have no memory. Well, obviously, I've got no memory.
one with misprinted pants, I want to say.
He showed 2 that looked like they had different skin colors.
Well, sure. You know.
But maybe the pants was a thing as well. Maybe it was yeah.
Or maybe he
Okay.
had 2 that were exactly the same because he couldn't find a B. Brian Blair. So
Oh
maybe
yeah.
just showing you that I've actually have 2.
So yeah, wonderful being on, lads, and thank you so
Oh
much.
yeah, no, thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Cheerio.
Yeah, lovely to hear Dan's thoughts there.
It is good. It's nice to see him as well because I've only ever heard him on 3POA.
Yeah, but the listeners won't be able to see him, so he's still a mystery to them, which is
Yeah.
good, right? So the only thing left to do, right, I suppose. So Patrick chose Bundy, Dan chose Duggan as his favourite, and I think we were always going to choose between us to decide who's the best, the very best LJN. But I think it would be good if we put one of these guys in the very first inductee into the 7 Figs a Month Hall of Fame.
Oh, yes, very apt as well.
Yeah, right. I think we'll do that every time we decide which toy is the best in a line.
Just run down the options again.
So it's Hulk Hogan Series 1 with championship title. It's King Kong Bundy Series 2.
Yeah.
It's Bruno Sammartino Series 3. You have that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's any good yet.
It's Outback Jack Series 4. It's an
You know
excellent
what's
figure.
hilarious? I know exactly who you're choosing.
Well, that's what we'll get to, right? It's Hacksaw Jim Duggan Series 5 with his 2x4.
Yeah.
And it's Ultimate Warrior Series 6. They were the ranked first in each series. So that's all 6, right? And I would propose to you that as good as Warrior was, it's not a great toy.
Yes.
Hogan, I don't even believe it's the best Hogan in the LJN line.
Great. Yeah.
So that leaves Bundy, Sammartino, Outback Jack, and Duggan. This is tough because my heart is saying Outback Jack, right? But that's only because of the obscure. And I don't know if that deserves a play. You know, this is a prestigious place in our made up Hall of Fame today, right? And I don't
We
know.
can set the tone for it all right now.
I don't know. I don't know if he's good enough. If I was going to eliminate one of these next 4 now, it'd probably be Duggan. Patrick was Bundy and Dan was Duggan. So yeah, they're still in it right now. But this is tense, right? Even though it's just us talking. This is what are your thoughts on these? You agree with the Hogan and the Warrior?
Yeah. My thought generally is that the best LJN is the White Hogan.
Yeah.
Which oddly, I don't even know if I'd put him the top on the series. Kind of like Bam Bam Bigelow rather than him. But I think I don't know. When I think about it, I think that is the best one.
Above Macho?
Yeah. I think the White Hogan's my favorite after looking at them for weeks and weeks and weeks. This set, what did I go for? I'd say I quite like Bundy, but he's a bit ridiculous at the same time.
I like Bundy. Right now I'm looking at Sammartino and Outback Jack as the top 2 in this. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Duggan and Bundy.
Okay, Duggan and Bundy. I like Bundy. It might be a bit too sort of ridiculous and cartoony and doesn't really look like him that much.
Sammartino looks really good.
So if we've nailed it down to those 2 then, right?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. The Sammartino is very good and does look like a wrestling toy.
Yeah.
Right? That's like classic wrestler. He's
Yeah.
wearing trunks, no knee pads, boots. He's got a stern look on his face. It looks quite a bit like Bruno Sammartino. Then you got Outback Jack, who looks like a man.
Who looks like a psychotic drunk.
Yeah, but that's quite a bit of the charm about it, isn't it? He's got a missing tooth. He's got his bright yellow boots with his khaki trousers tucked into them, a brown vest, and a hat.
He's got chest hair as well.
It's your call. You got to make the call.
Well, I think we should be in agreement, right? I think it can get to. It's my call all up until this point, and then I think this is a democracy here.
But it is hard, though, isn't it? Because the Outback Jack is more fun.
Yeah.
Bruno Sammartino is more wrestling-y.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you want to go with a toy line? I guess toys should be fun. If I was a kid, would I rather fun or someone who looks a bit boring?
Yeah, but this is a super prestigious spot, and I'm serious about that as well. In my head, this is really serious, and I don't know where I stand here. Bruno Sammartino Series 3. Well, you could literally go and get it and be like, "Oh, this is shit," and then we've inducted that into the Hall of Fame, our Hall of Fame, right?
If we induct Outback Jack, we just don't have to buy it, then we'll never think we're wrong.
We'll never know. Schrodinger's Jack.
Schrodinger's Jack. Classic saying.
Okay. I suppose where I'm falling down is out of all these amazing superstars, right? These legends, these household names. Can we pick Outback Jack? I mean, it's a toy pod, right? We're basing it on the quality of the toy.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the toy, I was like, this guy is holding championship gold. This guy's coming in and fucking everyone up. So, and I didn't necessarily feel that about everyone. Shall we induct Outback Jack confidently? But we might come back to this in the future. We won't pull him, right?
Yeah.
How about we induct him, right? And when we come back to look at our figures, we can assess whether Bruno's, if you're like, this is truly one of the greatest wrestling figures I've ever held in my hands. He belongs in the Hall of Fame too. He'll be added. We'll make an exception.
We were right. Outback Jack was probably better. Yes. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, Outback Jack Series 4. Outback Jack is by far and away the best LJN figure ever. That's not subjective.
Oh, that is 7 weeks of discussions to decide who's going in the Hall of Fame.
7 weeks of deliberation. It's like a trial, right? And we're the jury.
Who's going in the legacy wing?
The legacy wing, luscious Johnny V.
That's Johnny V, the manager. Brilliant. Yes.
Yeah, it was just quietly.
No discussion needed. You're in the legacy wing, mate. You're the best manager.
Oh, so we've got to the bottom of 7 weeks. Hope everyone enjoyed that.
If anyone's got any ideas of lines they want to hear us talk about as well, just let us know.
Yes. Yeah, let's do it. So I'll ask you the standard question, right? So you're in Woolworths and your dad has, to punish you for not tidying up your toys, your dad has thrown them all away. Well, he's told you he's thrown them away, but he's really given them to Ricky, your cousin.
Oh, no, not this again.
Yeah. So you've got no LJNs now.
Brilliant.
And you're trying to shop. They're all there. That the entire line, everything, even the Hillbilly Jim and Hulk Hogan 2-pack.
Which is going to be a really good day.
Right? You can have one item, though, and you need to hurry up because your older brother, Darren, right? He's only 8. He's taken one of the sales assistants hostage in the staff room. Wow. A young lady. She thinks it's cute and funny, right? Because he's only 8, but your mum knows better. She knows Darren's dangerous. So you need to hurry up while the negotiators are on the way.
Can I negotiate to maybe get a couple of things?
You can try.
Oh, it's not going to work, is it? I already didn't tidy up my room. Right, I can get one.
But hurry up. This is Darren's dangerous.
I can choose anyone. Oh, no. I've got a Ted RCD. What have I done?
You can't just pick a Ted. You're not allowed to Ted RCD.
Well, they're allowed Ted RCD. It's the truth. I panicked. Can't put me under that sort of pressure. It's hard. It's hard, this stuff with my brother.
All right.
That's all right. All my toys. I'm emotionally scarred.
All right. Darren's ended up crying in the staff room because he just thinks he's lost now. So he's now being comforted by the member of staff, right? And she'll get him back to your mum, right? So there's no pressure now, right?
All right, so I have to choose again.
Yeah, right. Choose again. Don't do it wrong, mate.
Can't believe I'm not allowed to choose Ted RCD. I sort of really want this one now. I mean, it looks great. I like the little black shoes and the white socks. It looks like he's going to school. The more I say I can't have it, the more I want it. This is a really big problem.
Would you perhaps just take home the steel cage?
No, I'm not a lunatic. No, not at all. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be smart. I'm
You
going to.
can have Ted if you really want.
No. It's fine. There's a black card series. I'm going to go Hulk Hogan, white shirt, and a black card, and I'm going to keep it minty, minty, mint. I'm going to keep it in my cupboard, and I'm not going to touch it, and I'm not going to let it see the light of day until I'm 40. Then I'm going to stick it on eBay and sell it. And you know what I'm going to do with that money?
Buy Outback Jack.
Yes. Now I'm going to get a loose Ted Arcidi that's scratched.
So you've got to be very well behaved between then and the age of 40 because your dad will be throwing that away.
I've moved house quite a few times as well. So I'm hoping it doesn't get damaged. Like by the time I get to 40, the card's going to be all banged up. At some point, I was getting the classic superstars. I probably would have pulled it out the box or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh God, 20-year-old Marty's a dickhead.
Your kids will eat it or something.
Yeah. Oh God, I definitely would let them play with it as well. I've ruined this. I should have got Ted Arcidi.
Bye everyone.
Does anyone remember what they call it when everyone wrongly thinks they all can recall? Because I can't recollect, and I think I might need my facts checked. So if you can remind me, well, thank you kindly. But I'm sorry to say you're incorrect, and I mean no disrespect. I think you'll find it's called the Mandarin effect, mate. The